All right, we are live on Twitch streaming Magic the Gathering for all you fabulous people out there. It's Friday, so what better way to end the week than with some gaming. So I'm joined by Pete and Molly here. I'm Joshua Timberman. We have weird camera angles because we're gonna play Magic online instead of in person because we're all in different states.
See,
Um,
I like that you're doing the I'm gonna talk with my hands, but my
oh,
hands are gonna be on the screen, and then that way it's not
so
just like randomness. So
So
I'm
Pete,
just gonna say
you've
I
met
really like,
me.
yeah,
You've met me in person, and
yeah.
you know that I talk with my hands. This is actually what I do all the time when I'm talking, and all you see is my face.
No, this is great. I'm just saying that I don't want you to stop what you're doing because
Yeah.
if the one thing I want to see is like this great, because I've got I'm like turned to the side here. I'm not really
Yeah.
directly in front, but
Yeah. Well, and then the mic is like kind of in my
yes.
ear, but it's whatever. All right. Well, let me know if Madeleine is able to join us. I'm kind of keeping an eye on this stuff as I'm going to explain. So, Magic the Gathering is a card game which you have both discovered as you've bought decks of cards.
What's
The
the
goal.
history? Well, what's the history of it? Where did
What's the history?
when did
Well,
it start? When did it start?
so Magic the Gathering has been around since the mid 90s. It was first published in 1993 by and the publishing company is Wizards of the Coast. They later sold the company to Hasbro, so it's a uh, Hasbro subsidiary at this point. But it was created kind of as a way to kill time between D&D sessions or while they were waiting for their DM to I don't know, get a bag of Cheetos or something. Um, so it was kind of this casual thing, and it became wildly successful. And there are dozens upon dozens of expansions that have been released, and they update and make new cards all the time. Oh, and there's Madeleine.
She's like, "Oh my god." I know. We get Madeleine's face and
I'm so excited.
we get Pete and
Yes.
Joshua's hands and Molly is setting up her setup here. It's
She's got a pretty
yes.
dope setup too.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Wait, what do I need? Sorry, do I need to point my camera in a different?
You don't necessarily need to because I don't think anybody's able to read any of the cards. I know, like, I can recognize a bunch of cards on Pete's table because I know those cards. But it's mostly as a visual cue.
From a mile away.
It's mostly as a visual cue to the others as to what you've got going on with your what we call a battlefield. But I was just giving some background on what Magic is for all of our viewers and for our participants today. So where was I? I was saying that so Magic has been around for it came out in 1993. It's had dozens and dozens of expansions. They add new cards all the time. There's over 20,000 different individual cards, right? So I've got this is an island, and this is Consider, and this is a forest, and those are like just a few of the thousands of cards that are available. And so Magic is played by putting a pile of cards into a deck. I've put mine into these purple protective sleeves because purple is a wonderful color. And Magic cards have value. It was created as a collectible trading card game, and there are cards that are worth thousands upon thousands of dollars that are out there.
I mean, who needs a 401k when you've got Magic cards?
Unfortunately, I sold all my cards before they were worth thousands of dollars, and I'm a little sad. So there's lots of ways to play Magic. There's lots of formats where you can use different deck construction rules that that dictate what kind of deck you can build and what card pool you can use. So there's 22,000 cards, but not all of them can be used in every format of Magic. So what we have here is Commander, and Commander is actually a format that was created by the community and has become the most popular way to play Magic. So Commander is played with a deck of 100 cards. So I've got 100 cards here, and then this special one here in this yellow or this orange sleeve is my commander. So your commander is a special creature that sits off on the side in this area that we call the command zone, and then their colors give you the deck construction rules for your deck. So this
So in
one
my case, is this my like ultra thick one that I'm using here?
yeah, that's a specialty one that they made. They used to do these oversized ones that are like this big. They were huge. But they always have the regular Magic card size, and so this one, you can see it has a red, a green, and a white symbol in the corner there. So that means that I can play any cards, put any cards in my deck that are red, green, and or white.
So I have. I maybe have two like legendary creatures.
Yes.
Do I get to pick one of these two to be my
could
commander?
you could
Yes.
the way that Wizards of the Coast builds these commander decks, these pre-constructed decks, is they use one as the face of the deck. So I've got Obun, Moldaya Ancestor.
This is gonna really mess with my inability to pronounce any words whatsoever.
Yes. And so this is the commander for the deck that I picked. And yours, I think, is Wilhelt.
Wilhelt the rock.
Yeah.
Hold on. I will say this is like the reason I chose this one. Wilhelt the Rot Cleaver.
The Rot Cleaver, yes. Excellent.
It's pretty awesome. Again.
Yeah, and I think Molly had a black and white commander for hers. So commander is played with 100 cards. Most other or all the other formats of Magic, you play the deck construction rules say you have to have at least 60 cards. You can't use any more than 4 of a specific card in your deck. But with commander, you can only have 1 of each card. So in this deck, there is, for example, this card, Keeper of Fables. I can only have 1 Keeper of Fables in this deck. Now, the exception to this are these what we call basic lands: forest, mountain, swamp, island, and plains.
Ooh, I've got some of those.
Yeah, and so so to start talking about the rules of Magic, the goal of the game is to reduce your opponent's life total to 0, and Commander is intended to be a multiplayer format. That's why we picked it for this, since we have 4 people. Commander is generally played with 4 people, and so there's 40 life in Commander instead of 20. So
I've got this little like clicky thing.
Yeah, you've got those little cardboard things for keeping track of life. I've got dice on my desk here. I've got like a bunch of these silly dice, right? Like I just have a bunch of them. They come with various Magic products. So the goal, reduce your opponent's life total to 0. How do we do that? Well, each card in Magic has a color, and the color is the different colors of spells, and you use lands to provide mana in order to cast your spells. Okay, everybody with me?
Yes.
You also just clarified my lifelong question of, is it mana or mana?
I've always said mana. Some people say mana. We don't invite them back for pizza and beer to play Commander, though. No,
Well,
I'm kidding.
I
We
feel like-
always invite people if they want to play, because we love to play Magic with our friends.
I feel like I was
yes.
always pronouncing a lot of the words in Final Fantasy wrong until like they voice acted the characters, and I was like,
totally.
oh wow, I've been screwing that up for my whole life.
Yeah. So here, these are the 5 colors of Magic. You have white, and the basic land that you tap for white mana is a plains. Then you have blue, and its basic land is an island. You have black. The basic land for that is a swamp. Red, basic land is a mountain. and green, the basic land, is a forest. And this is the mana symbol for each of the colors. Okay, those aren't the only mana symbols in the game, but that'll we might encounter those in our gameplay here. And I've set them up in what we call the color pie order, which is going clockwise. And this is printed. This is the back of every Magic card. Looks like that.
Oh,
and
there we
so
go.
these are the lands. And then here's some example spells. So you can see that white has this white border around it. Blue has the blue border, and so on. So let's talk about the component of a card. So this card it has a name. It's called Consider. So the name is always in the upper left corner, unless it isn't. But all the cards in these decks will be like that. The mana cost is in the upper right corner. I have to turn this card around so I can like tell my left from right because I'm left-handed, so this is always confusing. Then the card type is printed on this bar across the middle here. This is an instant. This over here is the set symbol. So every single different set has its own individual symbol. Then this text box is the rules text. There are rules of Magic, and then every card breaks the rules. And we'll talk about what the rules of Magic are as we get there. But the rules text is here in a regular serifed font, and then we have an italic font under the line here. This is flavor text. And then there's some other like decoration down at the bottom. There's a copyright, some information about the set and the artist and that sort of thing. But that's the components of a Magic card. Now,
how do you? I got a whole bunch of cards here.
Yeah. So
I got some cards that are double-sided.
Yes, those that you're holding, those are tokens. They are there to represent a card on the battlefield. So
okay,
I'm gonna move along to we just looked at the colored cards. White, blue, black, red, and green. This is a multicolored card. It has this gold border, and you'll notice your commanders have a gold border.
Oh yeah.
They have two colors in their casting cost. This one is white and black, right?
So mine has the number 2.
Yes,
and looks like some water. And wait, what was the death one? Swamp.
Blue and black.
Blue and black. Just say blue and black.
You just the color. Yeah, it's blue and black. This is white and black. My commander, like I said earlier, is red, green, and white.
Wait, is this an example?
Yeah, so that is a special type of cost. That is multicolor, and those are hybrid mana. You can we'll talk about casting spells here in a second.
Okay.
And then the last kind of card that we have is this one is colorless. There's no colored mana symbols in the casting cost. It's just a 2. So in order to cast a spell that has so you have lands, right? And they say land on them. These are basic lands. In your deck, you'll have I don't know, something like this, Myriad Landscape, right? And this is a land, as you can see from the type. And so you have lands, and then everything else in your deck that isn't a land is a spell. And so in order to cast spells, because we're playing Magic, we are great and powerful wizards. In order to cast spells, you have to have the correct amount of mana. So, for example, this card Can't Stay Away costs a white and a black. So I have to have a white mana source and a black mana source. So in order to cast a spell, I'll have these on the battlefield, and then I'll turn them sideways. That's called tapping them. This is actually a patented thing that they did when they made the game. Like tapping is patented or something like that. And then so I've turned these sideways, indicating that I've used them, and then I cast this spell. It's a sorcery. So then when I cast the spell, I do what it says on the text box It says return target creature card with a mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains. If this creature would die, exile it instead. That's a whole lot of jargon and words.
That's a lot of words there.
So when I cast this, I do that, and then I put it over here in what we call the graveyard. So to talk about the layout of our boards here, this is the battlefield. Okay, this whole area here, and this is I have these play mats. They're basically like a gigantic mouse pad. They come, you get them rolled up. I've got.
Is it an official Magic the Gathering?
This one is. It says Magic the Gathering up here. It's made by a company called Ultra Pro, and it is a licensed product, official Wizards of the Coast thing. So lots of companies make these pads. I highly recommend them for if you get into playing Magic. They will keep your cards protected. Otherwise, the backs of them will get all scuffed and scratched up.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're using sleeves, I still recommend the play mats. They can cost $15 to $25. So back to the battlefield.
This stream is sponsored by Playmats.
Yeah,
that's right. Well, go to Ultra Pro to get all your playmats. I watch a lot of YouTube content creators that do Magic, so they're all they get sponsored and they get kickbacks and that sort of thing. So anyway, back to the setup of the board. So I have my commander.
All right.
The one card.
Will Helt.
I put it here.
Cleaver.
Yep. Yeah, you'll put Will Helt off to the side in an area
here.
we'll call the command zone. And then this is called the library, right? So I'm a great and powerful wizard, and these are all my spells and my mana that I use to cast them. So that's all in my library. And then this is my graveyard. So when you cast a spell, if it's not the kind of spell that stays on the battlefield, then it will go to the graveyard when you've cast it. Like this one is over here to represent that. And then there's an additional area called exile, which is effectively removed from the game. They used to say removed from game, but they changed it to call it exile. That special cards that deal with exile will say specifically on them that something goes to exile or relates to that. Like this one says, if the creature would die, exile it instead.
Lena wants to play.
Yes, Lena is into it. So
wait a second. So it's basically like the discard pile and then off the table, right? That's the graveyard.
The graveyard is basically your discard pile for those who have played other games. And then exile is
my experience here is Pokemon, which is all there's a disc. Yeah, you just have your discard pile.
So if you played other card games, it's like a discard pile. And then exile is a special thing.
Well, I was gonna say, so I see you're shuffling the cards.
Yes, because they're in these sleeves.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this because it's awkward. I'm pushing them together.
Do I shuffle these tokens? Like I should shuffle everything minus the commander, or no?
So the tokens will stay to the side.
Okay, so like these double-sided suckers.
Yeah, so I've got all my tokens for this deck are all over here.
Is there like a certain number I need to have, right? Like it's like 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know. It's just a few.
They're just there to represent things because the deck that you bought produces those kinds of tokens. Ooh. It'll say put a zombie token on the battlefield.
Oh,
so a card will tell you that.
Well, so then here's another question. This deck came with these 6 red things and 3 black things here.
Yeah, I'm not sure what those are because that's not something that I'm familiar with.
I'm just gonna slide these up out of the game.
I'm honestly relieved because I've already lost 75% of those. I think Lena's eaten all of them.
Okay, let's
dinner time.
Let's talk about some of the basic card types. We're gonna talk about a few of these. Let's see what do we have here.
All right, I'm gonna attempt to bring my cards into a shuffleized way.
Yeah. All right. I don't think. Oh, maybe there is one.
Yeah, so there's lots of types. Well, actually, while we're shuffling, what's the play process, right? We're gonna have our commander. All the Magic people are crying right now as I'm just shuffling.
Oh yeah, you're just
deck of cards,
cracking them and shuffling them.
Sorry, I'm sorry, everyone watching this right now who is like,
We
What?
just lost our sponsorship.
our sponsorship to Magic the Gathering. Pete, way to go.
Oh, good grief, Pete.
I know.
All right.
I know you shuffled yours in such an elegant way with your little sleeves there. That,
I did. All right, let's see.
I also play a lot
I don't think I have any other card types to show. So, all right, let's talk about the card types.
All right, Molly's
so-
with us too. She's got the shuffle on.
Hey,
Heck yeah. So this is a land. So land is one of the basic card types that we have. So we have non-basic lands, and then we have, where'd they go?
Oh god, I flipped it over. Didn't want that.
Then we have these basic lands.
Yeah.
So each card has a type, and they can have a super type, and it'll say that on there when appropriate. Don't worry about that detail until we have something that affects those different types. Just know that there are cards that will care about basic lands, and then there will be cards that will care about any kind of lands or non-basic lands. Right? So lands. Then we have creatures. So creature.
Ooh, they get to do stuff, I'm guessing.
Wait, I have to show the most fun creature card I have. Sly Instigator. I feel like
Yes.
that's me perfectly. For everything I aspire to be, a Sly Instigator.
I think you picked the perfect deck.
I know.
All right, so this is an Armorcraft Judge. It is green because it has a green mana symbol and it has a green border. And then it's a creature. And then there's a big dash there, and then it says Elf Artificer. So those are the creature types. And there's going to be cards that are going to care about creature types like elves or artificers or wizards or goblins or zombies. And then creatures have down in the corner power and toughness. So
Ooh,
power
okay.
Power is how much damage they do. That's the first number. So this one's a 3. And then toughness is how much damage they can take. Okay. So all creatures have a power and toughness, and they can have that modified by things in the game. So this one says, when Armorcraft Judge enters the battlefield, draw a card for each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. So a +1/+1 counter will on this creature would increase its power to 4/4.
Oh, okay.
So creatures have various rules text that are going to affect the game in some way.
I wonder if these things could be like, are the counters maybe that you're putting on top to like
That could be.
maybe.
Yeah. So creatures and lands are permanents. When you play a land, you put it on the battlefield, and then you can use it. You can tap it for mana, right? And then creatures are permanents. They stay on the battlefield, so that you cast them as a spell, and then when the spell resolves, this is like rules jargon, but when the spell resolves, then it goes on the battlefield. Then you follow any rules that it has about when it enters the battlefield. Okay, so not all creatures do that, but a lot of creatures do. All right, next let's talk about.
Joshua, I have a question about a card.
Yes.
My deck has these cards,
Yes, that's
which
a token.
have no back.
Ooh,
There's
yeah.
like
Yes,
something
they're
on both.
double-sided.
Should I be shuffling these amidst the regular deck because they
No,
won't
that's a good
blend
question.
in? So I kept them separate.
Yeah. So
Okay.
all the cards that have the Magic the Gathering back, those are the ones you put in your deck.
Got it.
And then there are some cards called dual-faced cards that will be fun and interesting if they come up. I don't know if any of your decks have those.
I wouldn't even know how to tell the difference. I have a clue.
So pick up the top card of your library there, Pete.
This is my library, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Pick up that card.
Yep.
If it was double faced, it wouldn't have magic on the back. It would be some other effect on the back of it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So which is another reason why people play with sleeves, is because you can't, like you'd know exactly which card you're looking at if you saw the back of it, right? Once you learn the cards. All right, so we've got lands and creatures, and then we have sorceries. So this is a green sorcery called Harmonize. Sorceries are spells that once they resolve, they go into your graveyard. Okay, or they're discarded. So a sorcery can only be played at a certain time in the game, which is when you can cast a sorcery. That's kind of the rule as to when that is, and that is in your main phase. And we'll talk about the phases here in a minute. Then we have instants, which are similar to sorceries in that when you cast an instant, it will go to the graveyard once it's resolved. But you can cast an instant anytime that you have priority. And we'll talk about priority when we get to the game phases. Those are spells that go to the graveyard once cast. Then you have enchantments. Enchantments are a permanent, so when I cast this, it will go onto the battlefield. And then it has some rules text on it that's going to take effect at various points in the game. In this case, this land has a keyword, because it's in this one's in italics, called landfall, and it says whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control. So whenever I play a land, right, like my command tower or my forest or something, then I do this. I put a quest counter on the Colony Heart Expedition. Then it has another block of text that says remove 3 quest counters and sacrifice it, which means to put it into the graveyard. Sacrifice it, and then I can search my library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them on the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle the library. So when a land is tapped, you can't use it during that turn. So let's talk about the start of the turn, or how the turns go.
Well, how do you figure out who goes first?
Well, generally we do some sort of Rochambeau of some sort. We might roll a die and see who got the highest roll. We might hide a number of dice in our hands, and whoever is holding the highest number, I don't know. Most people just roll a die. So at the start of your turn, you untap. So any cards that are tapped, turn sideways, you untap them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Then you go to your upkeep, and that's just a special phase that there are things that will happen during your upkeep. Then you go to your draw step. So you draw a card. You draw 1 card.
From your library, right?
From your library.
Yeah.
During your draw step. Then you go to your first main phase. During your first main phase, you can play land. You can cast spells. You can cast spells at sorcery speed, so you can cast sorceries, enchantments, artifacts, creatures, and you have priority to cast those spells. When you cast a spell, so say I tap a land and I'm going to cast a spell. Once I cast the spell, the next player in the turn order has priority. They can respond to that spell. They can do that with an instant, or they can use an ability of a creature or artifact that they have in play. Okay. Then after a spell, after everybody has responded to the spell or passed priority, you resolve the spell. So if it's a permanent, it goes into the battlefield. If it's a sorcery or an instant, it goes to your graveyard. And then you do whatever the spell says to do. Or when the permanent enters the battlefield, you do whatever the effect is when it enters the battlefield, if it has any. Does that all make sense?
I'm ready for this.
Okay.
I've never been more ready than
next. The next part of the turn is called the combat step, and that is when you use your creatures to attack somebody. You can only attack somebody with creatures that began the turn under your control. So if I cast a creature on my turn, I can't attack with it until next turn. Okay? When you go to combat, you declare all of your attacking creatures. You say, I'm going to attack Madeleine, I'm going to attack you with my creature. And then the next step in combat is to say whether you're going to block it. Now, there are things about creatures that may make them unblockable for you. Like, it might have an effect that says that it flies. So it flies over all of your creatures that are on the ground, right? Then after After blockers are declared, then the creatures deal damage. They'll deal damage to the creatures that block them, or they'll deal damage to the defending player. Does that all make sense?
I'm very excited for the combat phase.
Everybody is. It's one of the best. It's one of the best phases in Magic. Then after the combat phase, there is a post-combat main phase, and then you can cast additional spells like you did in your pre-combat main phase, and then after your post-combat main phase, you go to your end step. You say, I'm going to pass the turn, or I'm going to end my turn. If you have anything that happens during the end step, then you take care of that, and then you also discard down to your hand size. So let's shuffle up, draw, and begin. So the way that we start this off, I will roll a die for each of us. I will use different colored dice so that they're easy to see.
Now you had the pleasure of playing this over like video already, right? Like during main like peak COVID time, right?
Yes. So I've done this, and usually what we do is people will roll 6-sided dice because they're easier to see on the camera.
But we trust you. It's okay.
But when somebody rolls the highest number, they go first, and then turn order goes clockwise. So if we were seated at a table in a store, then we would have our mats like this. Yours would be here, and Madeleine's would be over there, and Molly's would be over here. You probably can't see my hand because I don't know where my camera is. But we'd have like a little grid where we're playing, and we just go clockwise. So I'm gonna be green because that's my favorite color. Pete, you're gonna be blue because you're playing blue and black. Madeleine is going to be red because she has a red shirt, and Molly's going to be white because she has the white and black deck. All right, so I'm going to roll these, and whichever one is the highest, that's who will go first. And we'll
say it's lucky that you had all those dice, but you also have like 10 of them, laid out there in front of you.
Oh yeah, so. I've got a crap ton of dice.
That's a very soothing sound.
It is.
Nice.
All right, so blue is the highest number with a 19. So that means Pete will go first. And we'll walk you through this. So, Madeleine, we don't have a view of your battlefield. What I was going to do is, so the way that we start off is everybody draws 7 cards.
All right, we can do this right off the top, right?
Yep, you've shuffled your deck. You draw 7 cards.
Do you want to have a view of my battlefield?
It would be helpful if you can make it happen.
I can work on it,
but it's not required. So the reason for it is I was going to say we'll play with our hands face up just for the learning purposes, and I can give you an example as to what's going on with mine. Actually, I'm going to put them this way so they're probably a little easier to see.
Yeah, there you go.
So in your opening hand, you want to have a decent mix of lands and spells because you can't cast spells if you don't have lands.
But are you just drawing these randomly?
Yeah, I shuffled my library.
Yeah.
And then I drew the top 7 cards.
Okay.
And then I'm not going to shuffle my library again unless there's a card that says to do so. Okay. So Pete, it looks like you've got a swamp and an exotic orchard.
And I've got 2 lands.
You've got 2 lands. Then what you do is you look at the spells you have. And you think, am I going to have anything to do with the lands that I drew? So if I drew 3 lands, I'll have something to do because this thing costs 3. Oh, we didn't talk about the numbers on here. So we have.
Well, I've got 2 creatures. I got two things that say creatures.
Yes.
Then I have an artifact, sorcery, and an enchantment. I feel like these are my spells, right?
Yeah, those are spells. Actually, all of those on the bottom are spells. Those 2 are also spells.
All right.
So creatures are spells. Instants and sorceries are spells. They're all spells. If it's not a land, it's a spell. So in the corner here, there's a green and a 2. That means that it takes 1 green and 2 of any other color to cast this spell. Does that make sense?
Yes.
This one costs white, and 3. So I have to have 3 white mana and 3 of any other color mana. in order to cast this spell. Generally, when you have a very large amount of for the casting cost, it means it's a powerful spell. This is
Yeah,
a
so
6/6 flying creature. This is a powerful spell.
so this one here, I've got Overseer of the Damned.
Yes,
which
that's a good one.
two swamps and 5 of anything else, and it's
Yep.
basically like when you enter the battlefield, you may destroy target creature, which
Yeah.
to Madeleine's point, I'm here for.
Yes.
Can't wait to see that.
All right. Molly, do you have lands and spells in your opening hand?
Yeah, it
Looks
looks
like
like
you do.
I got 3 spells
Uh-huh.
and an enchantment.
Yeah.
Let's see if I got this one right. Soul Snare.
Yeah. All right.
Another enchantment, Vow of Duty.
Yeah. Okay.
And a third, Ambition's Cost.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I have this extremely creepy looking creature,
Mm-hmm.
Deathbringer Liege.
Yeah. So
and then I've got 2 plains cards and 1 land card that is not basic.
yes.
Opal Palace.
Opal Palace. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, so one thing to point out before we begin with Pete's turn, hold up that one that has the black and white. It's got the that one right there. Hold that one up. So see the mana symbols.
Yes,
It's,
you see that they're half. I assume that's swamp.
It's called a hybrid. It
Oh.
means that you can use either a white or a black for each of those.
And a black is swamp, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Swamps
So
provide
half
black.
plains, half swamp.
Now here's one that I have in my hand. I have this land called Jungle Shrine,
Okay.
and it so that funny looking arrow on there is the
Mhm.
tap symbol, and when I tap it, I add a red, a green, or a white, and it enters the battlefield tapped, because being able to get any of my colors right away is powerful. So this enters the battlefield tapped. So when it comes into play, it comes into play tapped.
Oh, well, here's
Okay?
a question.
So I won't be able to use it when it comes into play.
So we've got this one here, which
Mhm.
if it zoom happens, it's got 2 swamps and an X on it.
Yes. X is any number. It could be 0, it could be 3, it could be 15. However much mana you have that you want to put into that.
And if I read
that.
it off, it says each player mills X cards, meaning I'm assuming whatever I choose for X.
Yep. So if you paid 2 black and 2 other,
Yep.
X would be 2, and then each player would mill 2 cards. Mill means they take the top card of their library and they flip it over, and so they take the top card of their library and they put it in their graveyard face up. So there are cards that can work with the graveyard. You're playing black. Black has necromancy and other assorted.
I know. Yeah, that's why I
kinds of
chose it.
things.
I was very
Yeah.
excited for that. It was like, oh yeah, you can raise things from the dead. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm here for that.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
October. It's the spookiest month.
It is. It's so spooky. All right, so let's give it a go.
So I
Pete,
think
start us off.
Well, I think I know. Well, I don't actually know anything,
Yeah.
but I've got 2 land,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got this card here, which has a 2
Mhm.
up at the top.
Yep.
All my other cards require
colors.
either multiple swamps and other cards, but this is
Mhm.
the only one that only
Yeah.
needs 2. So I feel like I could play this, right?
That is a good card to have in your opening hand. That's a artifact, as you can see from the type on there, and it's colorless, so you can use any mana to cast that too, or to pay that 2 cost. Okay.
And when we say mana, like the land is
The lands produce mana. Now that sky diamond is not a land, but it produces mana. See that add blue?
Yeah.
Anything that says add and then one of the mana symbols means add that color of mana.
Gotcha. And it also
Makes
says
sense?
it enters the battlefield tapped, which means I would put it into my battlefield like sideways, correct?
Yes, and then that would indicate that you can't use it yet. But when you go to your next turn and you untap, then you would be able to use it. So let's start. Pete, go ahead and start us off. Go ahead and play. I would play your swamp first.
Oh, you have to play the land.
Yeah, so you play the land.
Yeah. Oh, because these are in my hand, literally.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have my hand be up here, so it's a little. I don't know if it's easier to see actually. It may not be easier to see. I'll make it easier for me to deal with. So I'll put my hand down here.
might work. All right, so
All right. So
I'm gonna play my swamp.
Yep. So play your swamp. You put your swamp on the battlefield.
Yep.
And then if you don't have any spells to cast, which I don't believe you do,
No,
if you don't have anything that costs 1 colorless or 1 black, then you don't have anything to do.
I have
So what you do
nothing
is
to
now you pass the turn. So
All
you,
right.
you skip all those phases. You skip your combat.
I
You
just-
skip your
because you
Yeah.
can't do anything, right? Like
Yep,
I
you
have
say-
nothing. Yeah.
You say I play a swamp and I pass the turn,
All
and
right.
then play goes according to my screen. It goes to Madeleine. So Madeleine, it is your turn. So the phases are. Oh, sorry, Pete. You had one. We skipped one thing on your turn. It's the most important thing you do
Oh.
at the beginning of your turn, and that's draw a card. When you play Magic,
Oh.
the person who goes
Sure.
first in a 1 versus 1 game does not draw a card. But in a multiplayer game, the first person that plays does draw a card. So go ahead and draw a card. See if you
All right.
see if you draw something that you could do.
All right. So I've got here. It's still going to require 2 mana.
Okay.
So I think we're good there. So so
Yep.
you start with 7, and then at the beginning of your turn, you
draw a card. Yep.
Draw a card. Gotcha.
All right.
All right. Well, I'm good to go here.
Yeah,
All right. So,
so
I pass my
Madeleine-
turn now. I believe it is at the terminology. My turn is over.
Yes, it's Madeleine's turn. Draw a card.
Yes, and I clearly do not have the setup. I need to work on this for next time. So I'll hold it up. I first want to confirm, is this my
That I believe is your commander. That was like separate. That's what was on the box.
sure was.
Yep. So that's
Okay.
your commander. So
Wonderful.
that one does not get shuffled into your library. You just
Okay.
set it aside in what we call the command zone.
Okay, sweet.
Yep.
So
So
what color am I playing?
You are playing red and blue.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
So I just drew this.
That okay, cool. So you won't be able to cast that yet, but that's a good card to have drawn. If you have a land in your hand, you should have land. I think I saw one when you were.
Yeah, so I'm going to show I have a mountain, I
Yep.
have an island,
Okay.
and I have
Do you have a land that enters the battlefield tapped?
no, I can't answer that question.
It'll say something. It'll say this.
Oh. I do not.
Okay. So since you don't have a land that enters the battlefield tapped, go ahead and play your mountain or your island, whichever one you want to have in play first.
I'm feeling mountain first.
Okay.
Well, and here's a question, Joshua. I had this exotic orchard land.
Mm-hmm.
Can you only play 1 card at a time?
That is a good question, Pete. You may only play 1 land
Ooh.
during your turn.
Okay, great. That's good to know. All right.
Yep.
Love
Yep,
it.
Otherwise you just go like this, and then you cast something powerful and
Destroy everyone.
destroy everybody, and
Love it.
maybe before they can do anything. Now there are cards that will let you cheat and let you play additional lands, but I don't think any of these decks have that kind of card. So, Madeleine, go ahead and play your mountain or your plain, or sorry, your mountain or your island.
I have played my mountain.
Now, do you have anything that costs 1 single red in its casting cost?
I do, but it has the number here. It's an instant, but it has a 5 next to it.
Oh yeah, so you need 6 mana to cast that one.
Do not have that.
You do not have that yet. That's okay. Molly, go ahead. I think Madeleine is done. Molly, go ahead.
So Joshua, if I'm drawing a card and I'm playing a card, is that correct?
Yeah, so you're gonna draw a card,
Okay.
and then you're gonna play a land.
All right.
Oh,
I've
excellent!
got
You drew.
Oh, there you
drew
go.
a land. Good.
So I was thinking, and please tell me if I'm wrong, if I should play this land card first, because it looks like maybe I can add something, or I don't know.
That is Opal Palace. It says add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. So color identity is like I was talking about earlier. Your commander has some certain colors
Yes.
to it, right?
Plains or white.
You've got white and black.
Oh, and
Right.
Great.
Yep. So I've got red, green, and white. So the color identity of my commander is red, green, white. The color
Okay.
identity of your commander is white and black.
Okay.
The color identity of Pete's is blue and black, right? So Opal Palace will
Wow,
tap
I
for
sneeze
either
everywhere.
of your colors. That's a good one. But notice that it has a 1 before that. That's called an activated ability. And that 1 and tap means you pay 1 mana of another color, and then you can add a mana of any color. So this is what we call filtering. So if you didn't have black, you could still make a black by using that ability. Does that make sense?
Yes. So
Okay.
perhaps it might make sense for me to reserve this for a later turn.
Yep. So go ahead and play. I think you have a plains, or if you have
I
a swamp.
will play a plains card.
All right. Excellent. Okay. Do you have anything that costs 1 white mana?
I do. It's Soul Snare. It's an enchantment.
Okay. What does it say? It says, sacrifice Soul Snare, exile target creature that's attacking you or a planeswalker you control. Oh, that's cool. You could cast that.
All right.
So you tap your plains, turn it sideways,
Okay.
and then you put the Soul Snare on the battlefield. Generally, you'll put them out, so you'll have your lands across the bottom,
Okay.
and then enchantments and creatures up across the top. That's
Okay.
generally the way that people will play their cards.
Got it.
And you don't want to stack them because it makes it harder to see. You can overlap them a bit, but yeah. So because you want people to be able to see what you have and what you're playing. All right. So your turn will be done because you don't have anything else you can do. So I'll go to my turn. So I'll untap, upkeep, draw a card, and I drew another green spell. You wouldn't know that I'm playing red in here because I haven't drawn any red cards. So I'm going to play a Jungle Shrine, and this enters the battlefield tapped. And I'll be done. So Pete, it's your turn.
All right. Well, so I get to draw a card.
Yep.
Very excited for that. I got Soul Ring.
That is a very powerful card.
And
Well, not very powerful, but it is a very good card to draw early.
Well, I was gonna say it's only 1 mana to cast, but it looks like that's the tapped symbol.
Yep. It taps and you add
2 of anything.
2 colorless.
Colorless.
Yep. So we've got red and green and white and blue and black, and then there's colorless. And colorless can be used to there will be cards that have in their casting cost they'll have that colorless symbol, but you can use colorless mana to pay for the generic the number.
Okay.
This is not focusing.
Yeah,
you get the idea though.
So
you can play a land.
Well, I was gonna say I've got this land.
Yep.
Right, which I can play. So I'm gonna play this land. It says, it's got the little tap symbol. Add 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could produce.
Yep. So, for example, Molly's land, she has a plains. It produces white. So you could tap your Exotic Orchard for white. Or my land taps for red, green, or white. So you could tap it for red, green, or white. Now, that doesn't do you a whole lot of good right now because you're playing a blue and black deck. But it does add mana, so you could use it to cast
when I just need like a number.
Yeah, you just need like your 1 mana to cast your Soul Ring.
Okay.
So
I've got basically I have 2 mana with my 2 lands. But I can also add could add 1 more mana from Molly's, right?
No, you don't use you don't use Molly's mana. You tap the Exotic Orchard, and it produces a color that any of our lands produces.
I see. Okay.
Madeleine, did you play an island or a mountain?
I played a mountain.
Okay.
But I do have an island.
Yes. So at the moment, Pete, your Exotic Orchard does not tap for any colors that are in your deck.
Yeah,
however,
so that's not gonna be
you can use it to cast your Soul Ring.
Yes.
So tap the Exotic Orchard and cast the Soul Ring.
Turn that sucker to the side, and then I'm going to cast that, which means put that in the middle.
Yep.
And
so
it says
it's an artifact, and so you can tap it to add 2 colorless.
So like I would tap that like right now.
Yeah, and you can cast your Sky Diamond or your Talisman of I think it's Dominance.
Yeah. So let's see. We've got a couple of options here. This will enter the battlefield tapped, which will add 1 one water. Is that water? Swamp?
Blue.
One blue.
Yes.
Or we've got the talisman here, which is
Yeah.
adding a colorless and adding blue.
It has 2 abilities.
Mhm.
So you can tap it to add a colorless, or you can tap it to add a blue or black and then take a damage.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I guess what if I were to bring this in and tap it? Would I then also bring in my no, that's only one.
Yeah, but you still have your swamp though.
Oh, because I haven't. That's why we turn them sideways, so we know what we
Which ones
haven't
you've
used.
used. Yep.
Ah, okay. So I would say like I could tap both of these and bring my sky diamond in, right?
Yep. My goodness. And so what you're doing is you're ramping. You're ramping up. And then what does Sky Diamond say on it? It enters the battlefield.
It enters the battlefield tapped.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Which adds.
It doesn't add anything when it enters the battlefield.
It's already been used, basically.
Yeah, it's effectively already used.
Okay.
So
wow.
That's so on your next turn, you're gonna have a lot of mana available.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All
All right.
Well,
cool. Looks like your turn is done and it's Madeleine's turn.
Okay. Let's see what we have.
I haven't even made it through 2 turns. I want to play this more.
I drew a mountain.
All right. Excellent.
But okay, so here's a question for you. I have this card that says 1 and then an island and a mountain.
Yep.
So does that mean if I play my island and I have a mountain already, I can use this in this turn?
You'll not on this turn because you'll have 2 mana available. If you have an artifact in your hand that costs 1 or 2, then you could cast that like Pete did, right? He cast a Soul Ring, then he cast his diamond and his talisman. Do you have anything like that in your hand?
What's this?
That's a Planeswalker. Excellent. That is a special permanent type that if we get to being able to cast that, we will explain it.
Okay, but in the meantime, not able to cast.
Yes. So if you have a mountain and you can play your island, then you can cast something that costs 1 or 2 mana of either red or blue or something with colorless.
Okay, but just to be clear, this does not cost 1. It
costs 3.
Oh, where do you see that?
I added up all of the symbols on it. So you've got a red and a blue and then another. And then the other that generic mana, that number is going to represent the total cost.
It has finally clicked for me. Okay. Yeah. So I cannot do anything.
So this one costs 4. It costs 2 green and 2 other.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. So I played my island and now I pass to Molly.
Okay, Molly.
Uh-oh, did we lose Molly?
She's on the screen.
She's back.
There she is.
Is it my turn?
Yes, it's your turn.
Okay.
Perfect
so
timing.
I'm gonna pull a card.
Yep. Draw a card.
I got another Plains card.
Excellent.
Waiting.
I feel like you want to play that, right?
Yeah, you totally want to play that.
All right.
So
now you get to untap, right?
You untap first, then your upkeep, then your draw step. So you've untapped, you've drawn your card, you've played a Plains for your land for turn. You have 2 white mana available to you.
So I have this enchantment, which is has a Plains and a number 2 next to it. That I interpret that to be 3 total cards.
Correct. 3 total mana.
So I am not able to play this right now.
Correct.
All right. So I do not have any new things that I can play.
Okay. And you don't have any creatures to attack, so your turn would then be over. With nothing else to do, and my camera is not focused. Probably because I keep putting things up next to it. All right.
Just like moving your hands, and you're just because I'm talking about the thing, that's what we do.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to untap my Jungle Shrine. I'm going to draw a card, and I drew a Marasa Root Grazer. I'll put that over here. I'm going to play a forest for my land for turn because we are getting to the top of the hour, and I do want to demonstrate this. So I'm going to cast my Marasa Root Grazer. I'm going to get a green mana from my forest and a white mana from my jungle shrine, and this is a 2/3 creature. It has 2 power and 3 toughness. And it has some other stuff on it, but we won't worry about the other stuff. And it costs 2. And I'll be done. Go ahead, Pete.
Okay, I'm going to draw a card.
Yep.
We got a land here. Oh, I untap, right? So.
Yep. Untap, upkeep, draw.
So untap. What's upkeep?
We're
not there. Like we're not.
It's a phase that if there's something to do during the upkeep, then there will be a card that will say it.
Like upkeep. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So
it'll say something like at the beginning of your upkeep, do this.
Yeah. So I've untapped. I have no upkeep. I've drawn.
Mm-hmm.
I've got some more land. So I want to play that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And now I want to tap like all of this, right? I don't have to.
So using all of your mana every turn is one thing you want to be doing. You want to be casting all your biggest, most expensive, powerful spells every turn you can.
Gotcha. All right. Well, wow, there's gonna be a lot of stuff going on here. So I have to kind of figure out all my mana here, right? So like tapping, that's like 2, and then it says add a mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could produce.
So you can make a blue because Madeleine played an island.
All right, Mal's got an island. So you got to like keep this all in your head, then, right? Like,
well, that's why we have these the cameras, right?
Yeah, true. Oh, right. Yeah. Probably easier when you're in person.
It's totally easier when you're in person.
Ups the level of difficulty
for beginners too.
Yeah.
I've got 2 colorless.
Yep.
Then I've got 1 blue, so that's 2 blue there, right? Because this was a blue, and then I've got another colorless here.
Yep. So what are you casting?
Wow, I've got like 2 blue. What do I have? 2 blues, 3 colorless, 2 swamps. All right. Well, I got a bunch of these that are 2 swamps.
Mm-hmm.
That's 2 swamps. Then it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It looks like you have a really big creature there.
Yeah, I've got this one, right? Like this. Well, I got two of these that are like pretty gnarly. So I got 2 options here. One is the Overseer of the Damned, which when Overseer of the Damned enters the battlefield, you may destroy target creature. So I feel like you've got a target creature for me there.
You do.
That
I do. I have a target
that I could destroy whenever a non-token creature an opponent controls dies. Create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token, which is one of my little tokens. So I don't think I have to worry about this, but I can play this. Yep. And now, do I say like I am attacking your?
Nope. You say so you cast your
Overseer of the Damned.
Overseer of the Damned. So what happens is that spell has been cast. Madeleine, if you have an instant in your hand, you could cast that in response. But if
I haven't cast it against anyone because this is where Commander is a multiplayer game.
Yeah. So
I have this, but it 6.
Costs 6. Yep. So that's too expensive to cast. So you pass priority. Then Molly, you have 2 white mana available. If you had a card that cost 2 white mana that was an instant, you could do something in response. But I don't think you do.
No creatures with 2 white mana. Only this enchantment, which you
can't cast at this time. And then I don't have anything. So Pete, your Overseer of the Damned enters the battlefield. And so what you have is called a triggered ability. When, if, then, trigger words.
Oh, so I see. The first is I cast it, and then things happen based on casting. Now, because I've casted it and no one else has been able to, I got to stop it. It's entered the battlefield, and so now it says when the Overseer of the Damned enters the battlefield, you may destroy target creature.
So I'm the only one with a legal, what's called a legal target. So if you want to do that, because it's a may, then you can target my Root Grazer.
Yeah, so I would say
you'll destroy my Root Grazer.
I may like to attack that.
You may. I would like to destroy your root grazer.
Yes, as a matter of fact.
As a matter of fact. All right. And then there's an additional clause of text on there
Whenever a non-token creature an opponent controlled dies, which sounds like it was.
This is a non-token creature.
Yeah. Create a tapped 2/2 zombie creature token, which is this sucker right here. Which does it enter the battlefield by creating?
Yep. So it comes into the battlefield and it is tapped.
Ooh. Oh, okay. Because you can't use it now, right?
Yep.
Oh,
all right.
Wow. That's
so now you've used all your mana.
I sure have.
Because you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, and that costs 7. All right, cool. Madeleine, it's your turn.
I am impressed by everything that just
I kind of understand this now. It seems
Galaxy
so
brain.
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to draw a card.
Untap, upkeep, draw.
It is a legendary creature.
Ooh, Narumeha.
Very fun, don't we
yeah,
think?
that's a fun card. Yeah, I like that one. So that one has an ability at the top there. It says Flash.
What's Flash?
Flash means that you may play that spell anytime you can cast an instant. So when it was Pete's turn and he cast his Overseer of the Damned, and he cast the spell, and then you got priority, you can respond by casting a creature that has Flash if you have the correct amount of mana.
That's fun.
Yeah, so that's the thing you can do to surprise somebody. You can like, if they're going to attack you with a creature, you can say, well, I'm going to cast this creature with Flash and I'll be able to block it. Haha.
The dream.
The dream. It is the dream. Okay, so do you have a third land?
I do. I have another mountain. So I have 2 mountains and an island. I just
on
my other mountain.
Now you can cast your Veyron.
Yeah, you've got something worth 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can cast that creature. So it
That's
says
so shiny.
I know.
it is. It's foil.
It's really lovely.
So pretty.
So it says, whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, Veyron, Voice of Duality, gets +1/+1 until end of turn.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time.
Yep. So, for example, when Pete's creature entered the battlefield, it said, when this enters the battlefield, you may destroy a creature. Right? That's a triggered ability. So if you have a card like that, and then when Veyron's on the battlefield, you would follow that additional rules text and trigger that ability an additional time. Does that make sense?
I get to do it twice.
Yeah, you get to double up on that.
Whatever I'm doing, I get to do it again.
Yeah, you just get to keep doing it. Like, do it, then you do it again. Then you cast something else later, you do it again. And just like, you get to do that. It's a lot of fun. Veyron is a very cool card. I like it.
Yeah.
Cool. So did you cast him?
I did.
All right. Doesn't sound like you have anything else to do?
No, and no one can stop me, right?
No, nobody was able to stop you because we determined we weren't able to stop Pete. You're all are unstoppable. It's Molly's turn.
All right, so I'm gonna pull a card. I've gotten Niles, Discipline Enforcer.
Okay, cost 3.
A legendary creature who
Yeah.
maybe I will be able to afford. 3
Yeah,
for 3. So I'm gonna play my Plains card.
Mm-hmm.
But I if I play a Plains card, I can't play a creature card. Is that correct?
You can. Yeah.
I can.
You can only play 1 land per turn.
Okay, got it.
You can cast as many spells as you have mana to cast them. As long as you have enough mana, you can cast multiple spells in a turn.
Well, I have an enchantment called Vow of Duty, which is an aura. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I also have,
and it says on it, can't attack you or a planeswalker you control. So this is an enchantment. You have another enchantment in play, right?
Yes.
This is an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you attach it to a creature. So
Is
you
this
can.
going to be a creature that I control or someone else's creature?
It can be any creature.
Okay.
This particular enchantment can enchant any creature on the battlefield.
Interesting.
So if you didn't want Pete to attack you with his Overseer of the Damned, then you could make his Overseer of the Damned bigger, so when he attacks Madeleine or I, it would do more damage, but he wouldn't be able to attack you with it.
Got it. And but I have to choose between an enchantment and a creature.
Right, because you only have 3 mana.
Okay.
And both of those cost 3.
Can't use them all at the same time.
Yep.
Do you have a recommendation?
I would cast Nils. I would get your creature there.
My creature up. All right, let's go with the Discipline Enforcer.
Yeah. And what does he? What's his rule text say?
So at the beginning of your end step, for each player, put a 1/1 counter on top, or on up to one target creature that player controls. Each creature with 1 or more counters on it can't attack you or planeswalkers you control unless its controller pays X, where X is the number of counters on that creature.
That's hilarious. So you can make Pete's Overseer of the Damned bigger, but then he can only attack you if he pays extra to attack you.
That's unbelievable. I don't like that at all.
I love this.
So I move these because
tap
they're
those.
just paid, basically.
Yep.
Yes.
And then looks like your turn is done.
Okay.
All right. I will untap, upkeep, draw for turn. I will get a Kodama's Reach. That is a sorcery, so I'll put that over here. My goodness. I'm going to play a land for turn. I'm going to play a Terramorphic Expanse. And this says, tap and sacrifice Terramorphic Expanse. Search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. So I'm going to use this. So I'm going to tap it and sacrifice it, and then I'm going to search my library.
See, this is the hard part of like, God, if I had to shuffle this again.
Yeah. So what I do is I shuffle in piles, right? Like I split it in a couple piles. I shuffle them together. I do it like this.
Yeah, you've done that 1 or 2 times. You got
yeah, I've played this game since 1994, so I've done this a couple times. Do one of these. Generally, when you play in person, you also present your deck and you say, "Would somebody like to cut?" And then they'll cut your deck. Or in Commander, since it's casual, most people will just tap the top of your deck and say it's good. Because if you're cheating to win in a casual game that there's no stakes, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, we got bigger problems here.
So my Terramorphic Expanse means that this enters the battlefield tapped. Everything in my hand costs 3 or more, so I don't have anything else to do. So I'll pass the turn to Pete. We are over time, and I know some folks had some stops. Let's do 1 combat so we can see what that's like, and then we'll
all right.
We'll call it here.
I think that sounds good.
All right, so untap, upkeep, draw for turn.
I've got no upkeep happening, so I'm going to draw. Yep. I've got Sunken Hollow, which is land.
Yeah, that's a good land.
I could play this, and when I tap it, I add some blue or what was the other color?
Black.
Blue or black. Yep. So we got some stuff happening here.
Yep.
Which means I get to tap a whole bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'm going to tap. Do I have anything that's 3? No, they're all 2. It's fine. So I guess it doesn't really matter what color for any of these other ones because all of the ones that I would do. Although this is in the battlefield, I don't need mana to cast it. You only need it to cast, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you don't need any additional mana.
So this looks like so I basically have like a lot of mana, but I guess I don't know what the strategy here is. Do we count through it to make sure we know what we got before we do it? Because I guess
it's casual flex.
I know, like
a lot of that.
Me with all my mana, look at me with 7 mana on turn 3.
It's like I'm the guy holding on to the oranges. Like I've got too many oranges.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm gonna add some. What we got here? This is the black.
Yep.
And I've got, I want to do this one because I want.
Hold on. Read the text on that Sunken Hollow.
Oh, it could do stuff. I should read. Enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands.
How many basic lands do you have?
I've got 2.
You have 2 swamps. Okay, so it enters the battlefield untapped.
Oh, cool. So that means I can actually tap it and get that mana.
Yeah.
So that'll get me another black.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I tap this one, I get another black,
Oh,
but I get 1 damage.
Yes, but you don't need 3 black. You can tap it for colorless.
Although that would give me I would have 4 black, right?
Because you want to cast your Butcher of Malakir?
I guess we could cast a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. I don't know what I would do. Wouldn't I just want to cast all kinds of things? Yeah, let's do it. So that would give me 4 black, right?
I would tap it for colorless so you don't
think
take
so?
damage.
Yeah. All right. Tap it for colorless.
Yep.
Then that's 3 colorless. I get a blue.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got 3 black,
Mm-hmm.
1 blue, 3 colorless.
Yep.
And then our exotic orchard here.
You don't need to tap it to cast anything because your Butcher of Malakir costs 7, right?
Right. So it's oh yeah, right. 2, 3. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
Yep.
All right. So that means I cast it.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean don't do anything. Like we have to like, people could play an instant or one of those, right?
Yes. But I believe that we are, as the term goes, all tapped out. We've tapped all of our available mana, and none of us are playing decks that have things that they could do without having to pay mana costs. So nobody's cheating here.
All right. So
now what you can do is you can move to combat.
All right. I'm moving to combat here.
Now, you cast your Butcher of Malakir. That means it has Summoning Sickness. It cannot attack this turn. But you can decide to attack with your zombie and your Overseer of the Damned.
I guess where do you see Summoning Sickness for the Butcher here? It says
that's just the rule. That when a creature enters the battlefield, it has Summoning Sickness until it begins a turn under your control.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
I feel like wasn't that the same for this creature too, or did we go?
Yeah, that was the same for that one.
Oh, we just didn't do it.
Yeah, we just didn't talk about it.
I gotcha.
Because now you have you can go to combat.
Right, and I've got this. Oh, well, yeah. So this one I can't attack with, but I can attack with these 2, right?
Yep. So you can say, so you declare you're going to combat.
Yeah.
Then you say, I'm going to attack with these creatures. So you tap them.
Yep. So I'm attacking with those creatures. Yep.
And then you tell us who you're attacking with the zombie and who you're attacking with the Overseer.
Well, let's see. I got my zombie has 2 that's 2 attack, right? The 2 and 2.
2 power. Yep.
2 power.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Molly. Do you have who's got creatures up? Joshua, are you the one with creatures?
I don't have any creatures. Molly has a creature and Madeleine has a creature.
Oh, nice. Do either of your creatures have 2? Is it at least 2 that I would want?
If they had. So what is the toughness of your power and toughness of your creature, Molly?
My creature is a 2/2. I think that's the stat we're looking for.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. And then Madeleine, what's yours? You have Veyron?
There's no way to know because I don't have my camera on. I have Veyron, so it's 2/2.
Okay, so they're both 2/2s.
All right.
So
so I could attack 1 each, Molly and Madeleine.
You could.
Wow.
And it would defeat both of their creatures.
If they chose to block. They could also just take the damage because we all have 40 life.
Oh, interesting. So
Yeah.
you could just take the damage and tick down your number.
Yeah, if you wanted to keep your creature on the battlefield, right?
Ah, okay. Nice.
So who are you attacking with the Overseer?
I'm gonna with the Overseer. I guess we'll attack Madeleine, and then with my zombie, I'll attack Molly. Now my zombie is decayed. This creature can't block.
The Overseer.
Oh wait, so the Overseer had a thing.
Yeah, the Overseer says
whenever a non-token.
No. It creates a 2/2 black zombie creature token. You
That's right.
have zombie creature tokens that have decayed, and you have zombie creature tokens that don't have decayed. They should be they should have came in the box. I flip them over.
Yes. Should they? I think they're all decayed. Oh, I see. Oh, maybe it's the I need to literally flip them over.
Yep.
Like this way.
Yep. So those are the non-decayed zombies. Okay. So
gotcha.
Yeah. So you just created one, right?
So yeah, this one we created one, but it's created tapped.
Yep. The other zombie is not there.
This
you only have one zombie.
Oh, from last time? I don't. Oh no, this was from last. I had this one from last time.
Yeah. So you have a zombie and you have the overseer, and now you have the butcher. So you have 3 creatures.
Yep.
That other zombie off to the side, just keep it way off to the side because it's not on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So those 2 are tapped because you're attacked.
Yep.
All right. Now, Molly. Actually, Madeleine. We go in the order of the turn order. Madeleine, would you like to block the Overseer of the Damned with your Veyron?
No, I'm gonna take the hit. I want to keep my
Okay.
creature on the battlefield.
Excellent. So you'll take 5 damage. I'm going to keep track of that here. I guess my nameplate is covering up the other die, but I'm using 2 20-sided dice for the life totals.
Oh, nice.
All right. Molly, do you want to block the zombie with Mills?
I think I'll also take the damage.
Yeah, okay.
So that's another
you'll
5?
You'll take 2.
Okay, 2.
Because the zombie has a 2 power.
That's right.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was combat. So combat is over. The combat step is over, and now you go back to your main phase. If you have something that costs 1 that you can use with your exotic orchard, you could cast it.
I see, which I do not. Mm-hmm. Oh, so I gotcha. So you only have to put out enough mana to do maybe the attack, and then you can always come back to it.
Right. And the other thing is that, remember, Molly has a creature that she can make it cost mana to attack her. Right. So when that's the case, you may not want to summon a 7 mana creature so you could attack if you had to pay mana to do that, right?
Yeah, I gotcha. So then I guess this zombie now has attacked.
He just stays tapped.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you don't have anything else to do in your main phase, then you go to your end step and pass the turn. Yep.
Wow, that was amazing.
Indeed. Who had a hard stop? Did anybody?
I got to go fire the grill because it's meat ops time.
It's Friday night. It's time for
Friday night for
grill.
meat ops. Heck yeah. Excellent. Madeleine, did you have a stop?
I have a stop in a few minutes.
Okay. Well, let's wrap it up. This is fun and exciting. We unfortunately we don't have the time to finish this game, but I hope that this was fun for everybody involved. We can just pick up our cards and set them aside to play at another time.
Well, this was an awesome intro to Magic. It demystified Magic because it's been 20 years since I have last done this.
Yeah.
Ditto.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's funny. Commander is a very, very, very complicated format. I mean, you have 100 cards in your deck. They all have all this text on them. They all do all this stuff, and you got 4 people you're playing with. Joshua, why would you teach somebody to play Magic using the most complicated method possible? Well, the reason is that Commander is the most popular format. Almost everybody I know that plays Magic has at least one, if not several Commander decks. And so learning how to play and then learning how to play this format enables you to go to your local game store and find people to play. And having a pre-constructed deck, you can tell people. One thing that will happen when you sit down to play a game of Magic with people at a store or something, they'll say, "Oh, what kind of game are we playing?" Or how powerful is your deck? And you can say, "Well, I'm using the pre-constructed deck. I've got the Madeleine, you've got the Prismari Performance. I've got the red-blue pre-constructed deck." And they'll know, "Oh, you're using a pre-constructed deck. They're not going to pull out their most powerful thing with like thousands of dollars worth of cards. They'll play something that's more in line with what you're playing.
To make it interesting.
To make it interesting and to keep it fair and to ensure that everybody's having a good and fun time. I'm always happy to answer questions about Magic. This is my absolute most favorite hobby. I've been playing it for a long time, and I have 20 different decks built for Commander.
Wow.
So
Wow.
and I have all kinds of different power levels with them, and so I look forward to us at Allma being able to meet in person and hang out and like do a company thing, and I'll bring Magic decks that we can play.
Oh yeah, that is 100% going to happen.
Absolutely.
Yes,
And-
strong agree.
And we will do this again more, and we'll do it more so that we can get practice and understand.
Yes. Now
you
that we know the ground rules. We
Know
can
the
start,
ground rules. Yep.
Start a more regular
And
game.
now you are all allowed to go read about Magic and read about strategy and deck building and everything else.
Oh no, this is gonna send me down a rabbit hole that I will blame you for later.
Excellent.
We
Excellent.
don't hear from Pete for 3 weeks.
You're like, exactly. Where did Pete go?
Excellent. Well, I'm going to stop the broadcast. Thank you, everybody who joined us. Thank you all for hanging out and playing some Magic.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for
in.
walking us through the
Yeah.
wonderful world of Magic.
Woo.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.